Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahshai, Ba'Shem Ruach Kodash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, with the house of David reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about these women who have joined the Babylonian military service and how that was a very bad mistake. But let's read this first. This is Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And these women, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because of this video here. Let's go ahead and watch it. Let me get it started. And the reason I bring this up is because of this recent video I watched that just shows how these women in this military, what the reality for them is. Now, this isn't, any sort of battle, right? But this right here is simply being inoculated, right? And then in this inoculation session, you have one woman who basically has a panic attack, and another one who faints. Okay, and these women are expected, or actually are going to be pushed into war, right? Into the soon coming war, right? And the reason why I read that scripture, because when it says those who go down to Egypt, this is ultimately talking about those who entrust in America. Okay, because yes, I agree that a lot of people join the military because they have no other option, right? Or they don't see any other future, so they go into the military to make something of themselves, or which more likely, which it seems to, from everybody I talk to and everything I've seen, is because of the benefits that they're given or promised by the military, right? But these women, not knowing what's really going on, I bet the majority of them, right, thought that it would be an easy ride, that that they could do it. Because why? Because they more likely bought ESAUs propaganda, right? The whole what is it? The Mockingjay, or what's that movie called where you had that Katniss Everdeen? She was like the hero woman, and all these other hero movies, man. They fell for this, man. This is why recruitment for women is up, but overall recruitment for the entire military is down as a whole, right? Because you see, Esau has cut off his nose to spite his face, man. Right? He is. I seen this earlier today, but I didn't save this clip. But it was, I think it was on like a Fox News clip or something. But it was talking about how all the military arms pretty much all the military arms except for one, the Marines, all for the most part have gotten horrible ratings, and we're gonna actually get into that in just a bit, right? And why is that? Well, because they've been focused more on virtue signaling, on inclusion, on representation, instead of building up their army, instead of building up their strength. They've been worried about vain things, right? And what we're gonna see right now is an example of one of these vain things, right? Having women in the military. Okay, if you were in the military, hey, all power to you. But if you're in the military right now, you better not go over to the Middle East, okay, to fight this war that's going to break out, because that's going to be the end of you, right? Because all those military people, including these women that are going to get stationed over there to do some sort of clerical work or freaking logistical thing or some bullshit like that, they're going to be melted into the ground just like the rest of these soldiers, man, which we're going to get into in just a bit. But you know what? I've done enough talking, Akim. Let's go ahead and watch this video, and you can see for yourself. These women are not meant to serve in an army, man. They're meant to raise families, to build up the new generation, right? To lead households, as the Bible says, man.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Gil, help me out. I have to get her to the been told us. We had to put it on our back. This way. I'm on her butt. Take her head and walk it back. Okay, good.
I got it in there. I have her head. Okay. Right?
Yes. Yes. Straighten her leg out.
So you should sit back to back with her. Sit up. Sit back to back. You know where her water bottle is? Right here, right here. Just slow. Take the tag off her and that yellow buggy. Same thing. Look, your toes need to be touching the heel of the trainee in front of you. Military bearing at. Come here. Sit down. Hey. Sit down. Put your back up against that refrigerator now. Put your back up against the refrigerator now. Sit down now. Sit down. All right, come on. Let's go. All the way down. All the way down. No. Hey, just sit back down. Hey.
Sit down.
Just sit back down. Put your back up against that wall. Hey, sit back down. Put your back up against that wall. Keep your knees up. Hey, this is Sergeant Keener with the training vaccine. You might see anybody sitting somebody over here. We got somebody.
This is Isaiah 59:8. The way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever goeth therein shall not know peace. Now this here is ultimately talking about the rebellious and wicked 2/3 Israelites. But it also can apply to these women, right? Because they are rebellious in joining the military, right? And like you see, man, in that video, when they were showing all those women, just marching one after another to get those shots, the majority of them were Israelites, Northern and Southern Kingdom, right? And now, because they either wanted free tuition, free benefits, or they wanted to, relive in real life, the female king or whatever, that movie. They wanted to live up to the Hollywood hype that women are strong warriors. Well, now they're going to get their chance, right? And a lot of other women are also going to get their chance because they're likely going to bring the draft back. And why is that? Well, because the military is down 15,000 on their recruitment goal, okay? And that right there is just the beginning of it. there's a lot more people that they're letting in right now that they shouldn't even be letting in because they're younger. I think they're now letting in I think it's like 16-year-old people to go into the military now, to like start like junior scouts or some shit like that, right? Or also now you don't even have to have a high school degree and all these different things. They basically lowered the bar, okay? But still, still being that, they haven't been able to meet their recruitment needs. So hence, we're more likely going to see the draft come back, right? And besides that, what are these Israelites who are joining up the military, what are they going into? Well, it tells you here, it says the Heritage Foundation releases 2023 Index of the U.S. Military Strength, gives U.S. military first ever weak overall rating. Let's watch. Let's see what it is, man. The Army, marginal, okay? They're a marginal weak rating for capacity. Funding uncertainties may threaten ability to realize its goals. Okay? It says a force only about 62% the size it should be earned. So you see, they're gonna bring the draft, people. The Navy, weak. The Navy is rated weak, declining from the marginal in 2022. Competitors are quickly narrowing the technology gaps in their favor as the Navy's ships decrease in numbers and abilities. Uncertainty and the administration and Congress will provide funding to combat these significant deficiencies leaves much up for question. And recently, the Congress, they passed like a law basically stopping the production of these large Navy vessels, man, because they were going way over budget. So they basically put these stopgaps where when these huge projects would be approved, and then they would go over budget, that those projects would basically have to stop and then be approved for further overhead costs, right? This is why it says Navy's ship decrease in numbers, because again, they're not creating newer ships, right? And I think even there's a new ship, like those new fancy stealth ships that are all shaped all weird. Those were being developed. I want to say by not Raytheon. It was another one of these like large military industrial, profiteers, man. But eventually that ship got axed, and they're no longer going to build those ships. So now they're going back to their older ships that are just equipped with newer technology, right? Let's see, the Marine Corps, strong, right? And that's because the Marines, they're the devil dogs and stuff. Is what they call them, man. This is the grunts, man. These are the warriors of ESAU's system right now, man. So of course they're going to keep it strong, right? It says the Air Force, very weak. The Air Force rating is a downgrade from the assessment of weak in 2022. Aging aircraft and poor pilot training and retention. There you go, retention. You know what that means? That means that when they started to make these mandatory snake bites, a lot of these air pilots, these top guns, I guess you call them, they took a walk. They said screw this, and they were out of there, man. They took their early retirement, and the Air Force was unable to retain them. Okay, go on. Space Force, weak. The Space Force rating is measured as weak, not due to the lack of expertise, but because capacity of the service falls short of the demands placed on it. While the Space Force has transitioned missions from other services without interruptions in support, it does not have enough assets to track and manage the explosive growth in commercial and competitor country systems being placed in orbit. The force also lacks defensive and offensive counter space capability. All right, at least that's what they're making public, man. But ESAU got a lot of weapons, man. And then let's see, nuclear capability, strong. Bipartisan commitment to the modernization of the entire nuclear enterprise retains the grade of strong. However, the reliability of the U.S. delivery systems and warheads is at risk as they age. Future assessments will need to consider plans to adjust America's nuclear forces and account for the doubling of peer nuclear threats. You don't have to worry about America's nuclear forces in the future, because there ain't going to be any, right? Because you see what's happening. This here, what you're seeing, this is all the will of the Lord, man. See, the Lord wants America to be taken down by its allies, or its ex-allies, I should say, right? Because as the scripture says, man, all they that bend the bow shoot at her, right? Meaning, the Lord has commanded all these other nations that are nuclear capable to basically fire upon America. And that's ultimately what's going to happen, right? And what has the Lord done? What has he put into the heart of these Edomites, these Americans, the Babylonians, right? To basically make their military weak by infighting, by no big contracts, which weakens the overall offering that the military gets. The corrupt vendors who basically sell bullshit to the military, which has ultimately led to these ratings, right? The destruction of the people of America, which has led to reduce and destroyed recruitment numbers. You see, America is a very weak country. So again, it's all by the will of the Lord. And though it may have been done like physically by the enemies of America through influence from outside forces and foreign country intervention, it was ultimately the will of the Lord to do this. But what did he preserve? This. Why is that? Because World War III is coming, people. That's going to come, and there's going to be a hell of a fireworks show, man. 1/3 of the world population is going to be destroyed, and not only that, but 2/3 of the nation of Israel. That means every 2 out of 3 Negro, Latino, Native Americans are not going to make it out of this thing alive, right? They're going to be put down in the famine, the sword, the riots, or ultimately this lake of fire, which is going to be the nuclear, annihilation of America and all the westernized powers, or as the Bible refers to it as Armageddon, right? So let's read this, because this is ultimately what's going to happen to all these women who have joined the military, who have put their trust in the American military system, right? Not realizing what's going on, because if they did, they knew what was going on, that America was about to jump into World War III, they would never have signed up, right? If they would have been busy, doing what they were supposed to be doing, right? Raising a family or assisting their own family, right? Their father and their mother, then they obeying the laws of the Bible, then they would not be in this predicament. But what happened? Eve, she ate that fruit. She believed those lies of the snake, man, that she can be as gods, right? She could be as men. Because ultimately, that's what the snake told Eve in the garden. Again, it wasn't a physical snake. It was basically the progenitors of these Edomites, man. And what did they do? They basically told Eve that she can be like men. That's why when the snake told Eve that ye will be as men, or I'm saying ye shall be as gods, the gods is in a little g, because that represents basically us Israelites, right? The males, us men, because we are the gods of this earth, man. But let's read this. This is 2 Ezra 13:5. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the 4 winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And this is talking about the armies of the earth, okay? All from the 4 winds of heaven, right? Which basically means the 4 corners of the earth, right? To subdue the man that came out of the sea, right? And the sea here is ultimately talking about space, because back in this time, when Ezra was writing, they basically used to refer to like outer space, the sky, as a sea, okay? But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon it, right? This great mountain is a UFO, okay? Because right here, Ezra is seeing that Yahweh Shai, he was there amongst like a peaceful multitude, but then all of a sudden he sees that the world armies are gathered there to basically bring him down. And what does Yahweh Shai do? The Messiah, what does he do? He goes up into his ship. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the heel was graven, and I could not. And why is that? Because you see that ship was so large that it went over the horizon. Okay, it was so big that it looked like a mountain, right? Because again, Ezra wasn't able to see the entire ship. It was over the horizon. That's how huge it was, man. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. Right? And that's exactly what's going to happen, man. You're going to have all these armies all there, man, in basically the Middle East, right outside the country Israel, right there, all ready to fight, right? Ready to come up against this odd supernatural power, which they're going to believe are little great aliens, right? And they're all going to be scared, man. But they're going to be trained like automatons to simply attack. And we're going to see all these crazy ass things, man. We're going to see all these new weaponry. We're going to see hover capabilities, right? You look at what's going on over there in Ukraine, man. They're using drones, right? They're using all these new type of technologies, right? But wait until we get to the World War III, man, and the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Armageddon. You're gonna see some crazy shit, man. Esau is gonna bring out those undisclosed weapons, man, because he knows who he's fighting, right? See, though the military isn't gonna tell the grunts on the ground what's going on, the higher ups know what's happening. They know that they are in for a future invasion from outer space, right? But what they probably don't know, unless they're at the very top brass, is that those beings who are coming back are in fact the angels of the Bible, right? See, that's why these people are going to durst fight, because they don't know who it is. Because again, if they knew it was the Messiah of the Bible that was coming back, they would not dare raise their hand, man. Verse 9, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, and as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest, right? And this here ultimately is not talking about Yahushua doing that, man, right? Out of his physical body. This is talking about this coming out of the UFO ships, right? This brass mountain, this great mountain that Ezra's seen, right? He's seeing that laser beams coming down and basically just blasting away the military, right? All the military force that has been gathered against the Lord. He's basically, the Lord's going to destroy it all by intense, concentrated fire, man. And it says, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, right? That's a laser beam, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw it, I was afraid. And that's what is coming to those who have trusted in Egypt, who have put their lot in with Esau, right? Because what you've done is you've joined the wicked, you've joined the devil, and now the Lord is going to basically make of you exactly what he's going to do to these Edomites, man. This is why the Lord had said, man, to us Israelites to come up out of, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul, so that way you do not partake in her sins, right? And then you do not, Salakia paraphrasing it, but you do not take of her judgments, right? And that's ultimately what these people who have joined the military, especially now in these current times, who have gone and taken the snake bites, who eventually will take those RFID chips, right? So that way they could use certain weaponry in the military. And same thing for everybody in the world who ends up taking that MOTB, that chip in their hand or in their forehead. You have sided with the devil. You have sided with the enemy of God, and hence you're going to be treated as an enemy of God, right? So again, hopefully this video was edifying. I'll keep until next time. I want to give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.